So, if you just type in old world maps, your word in Google, etc., in order, etc., you get different outcomes. We all know that. So, trying to find stuff randomly is all about what words you type into the search engine. There's a few maps like this on Pinterest and things like that. There are pictures of Putin with a concave map behind him. But you always find these old maps with people inside them, which changes the perspective of who's on top and who's down below. But if you just turn the picture upside down, which I can't do at the moment, but turn the whole picture upside down, who says that North was up top? An experience of the discovery of compasses, the lodestone, those eras there. I know you guys want to watch movies that it's all amazing, etc. There's people that happily watch a guy doing 6 hours podcast fucking mashed off his face, but you'd rather not just watch a person go on the internet and editing skills. Time is precious for me, but I'm always thinking about these things all the time. So the point with this video is that you're looking at a concave Earth in there. The other interesting thing is you're looking at two maps with curved lines, but what you're looking at here is the globe. I mean, am I wrong in thinking, look at the size of America, that stretch over there. The size of America there compared to Asia. We don't know how much they knew already before us. Any type of reset can reset the narrative. So if the older generation get killed off, the younger generation no different. So one way of carrying the narrative is to get rid of the old boys and the new people come in. Education's already set to this, the wording's changed, redefinitions, the redefinition of the meter, but the origin of the meter is what makes the Earth the size that it is. So if you look at this map, do the maths and say that the center point of that map there to the outside, to the right hand side, that would be 20,000 kilometers. Okay? And you'll say, but when you're looking at a ball, whether it be concave or convex, what I'm trying to say is that those lands that you see there, in proportion on the globe, as soon as you fit it onto a globe, you've got to allow for the curvature. Now these maps here, and I've been saying for time and time again, look up Vile Vortices by Ivan Sanderson, and he had plotted 12 areas of magnetic variances. These things occurred when they all agreed on the theory of why compasses didn't align or whatever, the way they built the world and the prime meridians that moved from the existing areas of in line with Giza and going up through Caucasus, and they're up there. Their North Pole, that was the prime meridian. We moved the prime meridian over to the UK, but originally it was way in line. I'm trying to think what the longitude line would be there, but just in line with the Giza over there. But they were aligned from there to the original magnetic North Pole, which was always there, and we're just coming to that point now. So they've done a 500-year plan 500 years ago for us to end up lined up with magnetic with the true magnetic north, which we had there's 10 degrees more up north than we think, and there's 10 degrees less down south than we think, and that's just hidden. I mean, maybe look at the waters between everything. See, the big gap there is always going to be left of South America, always going to be there, because Magellan came out of the Magellan Strait there. He went up west coast of South America, up there, and then he went as far, because I'm going to try and do a video of each the phases through the timeline through of how much they discovered, and you'll find that North America was discovered to the green bit, and above that they hadn't discovered all that area. Alaska, Canada hadn't discovered it, kind of put it down to snow, so they hadn't discovered those things there. At the same point, the sun angle, if you look at it from this point of view, the sun angle, if you were to convert this all so that Giza, it's either going to be Giza or it's going to be Guinea-Bissau or Sierra Leone, but I've always stuck with Giza because of the pyramids, and then they're lined up with through Orion's belt and stuff like that. I'm not pro in this, but I'm just saying, I'm humble, I admit that, but surely I talk more than your average person. So losing train of thought. So still getting to the point of what you're looking at here is 20,000. You're looking at a circle, you're not looking at a globe. If you think you're looking at a globe, then you should find that there should be shrinkage going on with the lands. And you see the exaggeration up there to the northwest Alaska, in that area there. That's huge. That's huge in comparison. We would all admit that. So where all that doesn't exist now, unless it falls all the way over here. It's massive. The size of Alaska there, or the improvisation, that is massive. So if that is what it is, and then what we're showing on the maps now is a lot smaller, there's something wrong going on. Now, if you do the maths on this, 20,000 kilometers. Yeah, that's what I got. 20,000 kilometers times 2. Go there. Can I do a back step on this? I can't. Anyway, so that was one circle, one hemisphere was 314 million kilometers squared, and the kilometer was based on it being 1/10,000 from the equator to the North Pole. But what happened to the magnetic equator to the magnetic North Pole? It makes more sense there. If you've watched my other videos, and I've talked about the dip at South America for the magnetic equator, surely it would be straight, because everybody assumes that the sun path is straight. Yes, with wobble, blah 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 blah, but there's a lot more straight lines than there are variables and stuff like that. So this here, and if you want me to do the maths, it's simple. You're just dealing with the circle here, yeah? 20,000, that's your diameter. Divide that by 2, you get 10,000. Times by 10,000. Times that by pi, which I reckon pi is, I'm going to go my gut feeling, which always works. Okay, so that's one hemisphere, yeah? Times it by 2. There's your tau, yeah? If anybody, and then this number is a lot easier to convert it into anything else. If you say these are kilometers, but where in fact everything is 10% less. Divide that by 100 and times that by 90. Okay. Divide by 90 times by 100. Anyway, blah blah. 10,000. Still on again times what I call pi. That's hemisphere. Times it by 2. That's that there. And I always do 1.1. Divide that by 1.1. It's 571. So if they had mapped out the world and got it all sorted out, we should be at 571. If the proportion is right to those. Yes, we say that old maps, we do they say the old maps, but the old maps hold the key to what was. The impossibility of why changing the narrative and the forced narrative and the need to do it is because things were changing. The heliocentric, the Copernicus, what was the other one? You know, the two models that blended together. One being that the Earth revolves around the Sun, and the other one is that the Earth rotates around the Sun. So one means that we're spinning and we're rotating around, or the other one means that you've got a fixed point in the middle and we are the ones rotating around it. But then you've got the third one, which is what I call the monocentric, where the model is stationary and everything's moving around. It's the opposite of geocentric, but it's not the opposite. But geocentric works, but that thing in the middle is not Earth, it's our monocenter. And this people do the typical concave narrative, is that there is a black ball in the middle and it's shining like a torch here, left, right and centre, and it's on some type of whatever, but no one knows that the sun path is moving, because in those models there the sun path is regular, but if we move through the zodiac then it's irregular. So going back to these maps, is that I've said that the meter is wrong based on the measurements of the Earth, and there's something wrong, because 571 million kilometers squared and we're at 511. So yes, those are the old maps, but apparently we plotted the whole world, you know. So if anyone can tell me any different, there's plenty of these maps. There's plenty of these maps. This is just me chatting. Hazards, South African, yes. But we got taught logic. We got taught look at the basics, you know. A chick down in South Africa called Globehead Southern Hemisphere or something like that. And she's got some videos about like how she's spotting that the sun movements in South Africa she's studying something, and it's something to do with they're like a minute off or something like that. But it's really interesting because up in the UK, 40 years ago we used to have snow in November. Now 40 years later we have snow in February. So a movement of 120 days over 40 years gives you 3 days movement per year. So we base everything on 360 degrees, this, that, the other. Surely 360 degrees, I mean, if you go back to the maths, how much more do you have to take off to get to 511. So 511, 111, 111. If anybody wants to know how I got this 511 number, I'll teach you how to do the maths. Pretty sure it's in one of my things. So 1.23, yeah? 1.23. Yeah? Close enough. 1 too much. So 0.43. Anyway. You guys, your maths guys, sorted. But if we can't measure Pythagorean theory and we only use Euclidean space, or that imaginary space where we don't have measurements, how can you confirm the hypotenuse is as long as you think? Because that is the root of pi, and the difference there's those variables there that people don't think about. I yes, of course, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm an absolute novice. I've always said, and I've always admitted, that I had no idea about this, yeah, but I've looked and I've researched. So I've been resourceful, trying to get this down into videos so that it's all animated and you guys are like, oh, check this out, oh, it's amazing, man, it's amazing. I don't have that sort of time to put days and days of solid work into this. I don't have that sort of time. Whereas other people seem to be in the same position as me, pull off amazing visual effects and stuff like that. Money, free time equals all of that. So we've overestimated the Earth to a difference of 110. And I've always said in conversations that it's been 108. The spaceship graveyard is 9 million kilometers squared. Take 12 of those is 108 million kilometers squared of sea missing. So first of all, in 1500 we had 628 million kilometers squared. And in 2021 we've got 511.1 recurring million kilometers squared. And it gets to that, and it's dead easy to get it. You need to get your mean figures. Get your mean figures and you will be bang on 511. Yeah, you got 40,008 and 40,096. Don't believe me on the 96? Type those words into Google. You will get the right stuff if you ask the right questions. If you don't bother to try, then you're not been researching. You've taken the narrative and you've glued all the narratives together. You know what I mean? It's that thing that we don't talk about because it's antisocial to talk about what we proved 3 billion years ago. The words, it's in the words. Revolving around the sun and revolving around the sun. Around, round. Yeah? I twisted a ball round. That ball was not revolving around anything. It was twisting round. I was spinning it around. No, it's in a state. No, you're in the same position. So the words of Aristarchus, or whatever the pronunciation. Yeah, we take words. Take the words. The words are everything. Everything in our language is. You can break it down and you can turn it into another word. Why? Because that's code. That's how code works. And secrecy, handshakes. So the concave Earth, or then flat maps in proportion, because Alaska got massive there. I've done a lot of FE map making, 5 years doing FE map making. I know all the pros and cons. And if you watch my stuff, Flat Earth 1, 2 and 3, it'll teach you that you can't do a flat Earth map unless you make the diameter 25,000 kilometers, and then you will find that by taking the magnetic variation variable out of the maps, you reduce them down, even more, and then you will find that you can get 25,000 kilometers diameter, because there aren't two places that are any more than 22,000 kilometers apart. So to try and get that to match things up, that's down to who's measured the equator from start to finish. And don't say, oh, we've got variables. No, there's one way to do it. If you don't do it, you end up with a map in the 1500s. It's probably going as far as the 1800s. Yeah. Oh, would have known about this. How many times do we say it's assumed, it's believed, it's this, it's that? So that's 628 million. Yeah, that's 629 million kilometers squared. We've reduced that down to 511. I put it on the ball. But surely if you have 628 and then you converted that into a ball, then it would have been even bigger, because when you do the maths of the 10,000 radius times 10,000 times 4 times, I always say 3.14. I love the number. It's not pi. It's just a nice number to use. 1,257,777,777.77 recurring kilometers squared. That is the size of the flat Earth map. If you don't believe me, take flat Earth. Oh yeah, the maths works out. Obviously the maths works out. Flat Earth map, 40,000 diameter. Times that by my lovely number. Oosh. Same thing. Obviously, it's the same numbers. Obviously, yes. But how coincidence is that? How coincidence is that? And then if you say, oh yeah, but they didn't know how to make maps there and stuff like that. Why would they have not known how to make maps? You cannot tell me that, number one, there's no way this is a 1500s. This is a redone. It must be redone. I could be wrong. But yes, in architecture or art and stuff, that art means earth. Art apple, earth apple. The Erd apfel, which is German and not Afrikaans, you will find an art apple means potato. Yeah? So I guess potato, it's a ball, yeah, it's lumpy. And that's how they saw the world. Correct. But in 1492, when Columbus done his thing, bang, they had the Erd apfel already sorted. The Erd apfel at the time, I reckon 350 million kilometers squared. I mean, if they hadn't discovered, they just discovered the Americas, but they hadn't mapped it. But then, as far as they were concerned, Magellan, which I've said, the Magellan only went up the west coast, bounced around, and he was pretty much straight, because if you shrink the Pacific, you shrink the America, the Alaska there, you'll end up in a straight line, pretty much going northwest from Peru. And that's where he veered off. If you look up his logs, that's where they veered off, because they're like, hang on a minute, we're hitting land. You sure you got this right? Because magnetic north was aiming in a different direction, or they had a conflict with the equinoctial line, which is the sun path. The sun doesn't follow the equator line, and the tropics aren't aligned as you say they are. The tropics move pinned right bang at the pyramids. Base everything off there. So if you still haven't got the idea with this video, is the maths, man. The maths. These old maps, that's how they map the world. That's how they mapped the world. A lot of people say they had hot air balloons there, or the blimps and stuff like that. They could have done this easily, all by air. Job done. The technology of yesteryear is something that's forgotten because it's been hidden, and something happened. Something happened, and there was stuff in America before America discovered America. And when I talk about the sun spinning clockwise, if we think that it's moving on the equator, but it's not. It's actually tilted. It's just moved from Capricorn and Cancer on the zodiac calendar up another notch to Gemini and Sagittarius. So then, and what I was saying about the UK, we've moved three from November to February in snow over 40 years, so 3 days a year, etc., etc. Those movements there is the sun equator moving clockwise. That's your clock there, and you're at 9 and 3. You're not. We're about at like 9:30, or at 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock. We've moved, yeah. The angle's moved. The sun is more in the sky now in the UK, getting warmer. We're in March. It's like wow, but it's still got the mixture of the old weather. But those are like the weather system's changing as the angle of the sun's changing. But there's so much of sea that we don't, there's so much weather difference. But no one travelled this line from Galapagos to Ground. No one's done that. Those are the islands there. It's a lot smaller than you think, man. Great circles and the illusion that it's a ball. Nah, man, nah. This isn't coincidence, man. This is not coincidence. I'm trying to do. It's a 2-second job, and that's just rip off some guy called NASA Lies, and it's like videos of. You can see boats above boats on the horizon with the camera like 5 inches off the water level. You should only be able to see 5 inches flat. That's it. You should only be able to see 5 inches. When you stand in the sea, your feet are level with your horizon, which means that your horizon is your eye level above the horizon, which is the horizon. The apparent horizon, the horizon mirage, the horizontal line. The horizontal line is never included because it's never considered to be. It's seance. It's magic. It's no. The God's will, and this is the map, and this is what the world looks like. When you go up to the North Pole and they discover with the lodestone and the compass, the further north you went from the equator, where it dipped down. No, it was the complete opposite. It was being pulled up from the back. And the same happens when you go south. This is why we need multiple compasses and stuff like that. We don't understand what's happening. I wish I'd taken a picture. I made an FE map and I plotted, and I wish for you guys to do it. It's fucking awesome. You get the magnetic declination map. They've redefined it and called it declination. It's not. It's variation. Why do they redefine things? Because they've got a plan. They're always 500 years ahead, man. They're always at least 50 years ahead. Contradiction, yeah, but let's play safer. They're always at least 50 years ahead. But the plans need to be longer. They've got long-term thinkers on these jobs, mate. I reckon they plan 500 years in the future, And the plan, it's been Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day over and over and over and over again. And they've got it right. And now they've got it right. But the thing is, if they told you that we lived in a concave earth, we would all go nuts. The whole world would take over the whole world, and we would be back to the point that they had to reset everything and start again. It got to that point. They pretty much decimated each other with the melting of the melting. The melting is explosion. There's gunpowder. There's so much history. The survivors, who were the survivors, and then the survivors were the best, and the Noah's Ark and stuff like that. The survivors were the people at the top of their game, the rulers of their time, and then it creates another time. We had the infrastructure, we had the knowledge. It's rebuilding it, and something like a complete wipeout, but only a few survivors with the story to say, let's make this work again. The infrastructure is available in some places. Well, yeah, it's okay. You know, it's yeah, man. The human brain got cleverer for each stage of Groundhog Day. What's a Groundhog Day? It's a God Day. It's you know, we made it this far. Check it, man. You know, we've got cars now, and for everything that we burn and everything that we consume and stuff, it eventually goes back to the earth in one way or another. But climate change, that's simply because the sun path is no longer at 9 and 3. It's more like 10 and 4. And maybe not as much as that, but you'll find that there's more weather, you know, El Nino, and El Nino. You've got Australia getting some weird weather now, a lot of wet. You know, things are changing. The sun path is changing. You know, is it wavy? At times I think it is wavy because apparently, well, I definitely would go with the moon, which is locked to the magnetic equator, which is why the Earth should be at the magnetic equator. The reason why they moved things over is because it didn't look good. It looked good like, oh, hang on a minute, like we'll tilt everything, and then that means that you know, and the position of where the prime meridian was, it would have to be in the middle of the known lands, the east and the west. It's unfair to have the prime meridian anywhere near Giza. They, as a world team, you know, the architecture in all the lands across the world is all similar. So, you know, there's similarities. There's similarities to the earliest known people moving with the sun. They've moved with the weather. And the weather changed all the time because the sun was constantly going through the zodiac clock. And then trying to get this into 3D and animation, guys. You know what I mean? It's just like, this is 10 weeks old, man. 10 weeks old. I was doing FE maps for 5 years. I know the tricks. I know what happened. And if you do the simple maths and stuff like that, it's like, can I find, you know, Ptolemy map? I mean, yeah, I'm releasing a video. Turn that into a circle. You'll be at 540 degrees. But oh, you know, probably that map there without people in there. That's, you know, old world map. If I can find any more. Oh yeah, the hidden lands in the north. They do exist. That's the extra 10 degrees that's missing. Look at all the, you know, you've got the stuff is inside the maps. It's not on the outside. It's just, you know, it takes time. It takes time. But is it more truth to, you know, I took this map there and I reduced that to 25,000 diameter. Everything's inside the maps. But yeah, you know, I just need a response from you guys, just to, like, you know, give some tips and say, yeah, you know, you're doing a good job. Yeah, man. Just like, you know, when I start getting a few likes and stuff, then I'll put the effort in. But if I just get like, oh, you know, do I have like dweeb people that follow me and they're like, oh yeah, it's alright. I'll do some goofy stuff. But I'm trying to prove to you people, you should question everything, you know. But like I always find, you know, people, it's about the wording. But yeah, there's plenty of maps. Yeah, I should find examples. You should go find examples. I mean, the shape of the world change and stuff. There's people in there as well. It's the narrative's there. You're just looking in the wrong places. It's you know, from South America to that there. That's not massive. Look at the width of South America compared to the width of actually what it was. This is a pretty good map. It's a pretty good map. The gap, you know, from South America to that next known land there in Australia, or the extension of Antarctica, which was actually more lands, at a different point in our time, there are different places like the whole. Look, I mean, look at America. That's all iced over. You know, does it still look like that now? There's no lake there. There's nothing. It's all the old maps. You know, people like me that are genuine. You know, I might come across as a troll and stuff like that. I'm trying to, like, Where the hell did all this Pacific come from? They're based on Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes, his circumference on these known lands, not the ball. Yes, it was spherical, but then, you know, if you do the maths and stuff like that, his map, and you look at this, the square areas of his map, and then convert that into a ball, who's right and who's wrong? You know, the world was considered, this was the center of the world. Jerusalem, Israel, something like that. But that Pacific's not there. Magellan, nah mate. Papua New Guinea, French Guinea, Guyana, and then you got Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone. You know, these old maps are all the clues, man. You know, the people are in the maps. Vintage maps. It's sorry if I come across like I'm shouting, but you've got to check this out. The South American stuff like that, it's absolutely wish-wash, and it's all based on their quality. And I understand it. The whole idea to hold the high idea that everything is concave. It's your perception. It's the perception. Are you looking at convex or concave here? But if you're looking at just a flat circle, then you need to account for curvature in the illustrations, so that when you pass the information on to 500 years time, they have the correct illustrations. They don't have this made up stuff. I mean, you know, look at the size of the Pacific there, from South America to the west. It's a lot bigger than the width of, you know, originally was. Things just got larger. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, look there, Africa to Jesus, man. Did they think that was South America? You know, things. You know, do I have to look up and show you what years these things came through? You need to write your own timeline. You need to write your own timeline. Only you can convince yourself, and only you can spread the love. If the whole world knew that we were concave and there was no escape, world demolition. Am I right in saying this? Hey man, you know, I've been ignored my whole life. Probably in the way that my conversation was not the same as, you know, other people's conversation. But it's like, I'm just like, I want to learn stuff, you know, and people are just like, hey, how's your garden? Hey, topic. It's like, but it's all about what are you into, man, you know? And are you a conversationist? Or yeah, are you not? It's, some people got the gift of the gab, but it's all in inheritance, you know? If your dad taught you, and you know, whatever, man. But anyway, that's enough of my thing. Thanks for your time. The realm, yes.